Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and IndyCar is back. It's better than ever. Kind of. Depends who you are. So, this was probably one of the most chaotic races in recent years. I can only probably compare this to Nashville level insanity. We had 11 official retirements and a few people that managed to stay on and pit and repair their car. So, the 11 official retirements are Benjamin Peterson, who was involved in a lap 1 incident. We have Simon Pagenaud, who was also involved in that lap 1 incident. We have Devlin DiFrancesco, what was also involved in that lap 1 incident. We have Santino Di Frucci, I think he was involved in a mid-race incident. Elio Castroneves, what was involved in the lap 1 incident. We have Jack Harvey, Rinus VK, they were involved in another mid-race accident. Colton Herta, which he got involved, he crashed trying to overtake. Then we have Felix Rosenqvist, what was also involved in that one incident. We had Romain Grosjean, which, oh boy, we have a lot to talk about with that one. And then Joseph Newgarden, he had a fire right like five laps before the end of the race. So this was an insane race. Let's get right into this. First of all, before we get into all the chaos, I just want to say the Marcus Ericsson, that was an amazing drive. He's kind of always had this kind of, under the radar kind of, you never really see him, and then all of a sudden it's like the white flag's out and he's in first position. You're like, where the heck did you come from? And he just came out of nowhere, and that's kind of what he did today, where he was always there, but he was kind of always kind of hiding, and when the opportunity arose, he just striked. And Pato Award had some problems with his car, and then that let Marcus Ericsson take the lead, and he won it. What's just amazing. Next up, I'm going to talk about the most controversial thing from the whole race. We're going to talk about the Romain Grosjean and Scott McLaughlin crash. Oh boy, this was a pretty crazy race. So they both pitted, and Romain pitted first, and then Scott McLaughlin pitted after, and then Romain Grosjean almost had him on the exit, but Scott got just ahead. So then, obviously he was on hot tires and Scott was on cold tires, so he went for the overtake, and then they both just wasn't going to concede. They both braked extremely late, and both of them were never going to make the turn. So it was kind of inevitable it was going to end in disaster. I don't know what the solution to that is. It was because I think Scott should have probably given it up, because he knew Roman was right there on hot tires. Scott there was no way Scott was holding him back. He was right there. So I don't know if Scott McLaughlin necessarily needed a penalty. I think he received the penalty because basically he just blocked Roman. So that's kind of how that went down. Oh, I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you think that Roman deserved to be given room, or do you think the penalty with Scott McLaughlin was valid? Next up, we're going to talk about the other really controversial one, the accident between Colton Herta and Will Power. I think it was a case of both drivers not wanting to concede again. It very similar to kind of what happened before, but the only difference is Will Power just kind of ran Herta off the road, and Herta had nowhere to go. I don't really understand what Will Power's move was. He kind of just barged him out the way and just kind of expected him not to do anything about it. I don't think Will Power meant to do that, but it was kind of aggressive. But I guess that's racing. That's street course racing. Be killed or get killed, I guess. So next up, I'm going to talk about the turn 1 incident. So they had a pretty good start. They clean, and then Felix had some sort of thing, and I think it's kind of hard to see if that was unrelated. I think that was it just caused chaos. There was thing, and then this is the big one where I think that's Benjamin Peterson just absolute pile drives into someone. It's just insanity. The fact that these cars are strong enough to be able to withstand that amount of force being driven into them, it's just insane. It really shows you the improvement that the cars have had in the last few years. So next up, I'm going to talk about the other major crash. So Rinus VK, I guess he missed his braking point, smashed into the tire barrier, and then it just caused a chain reaction of a few other cars. Kyle Cartwood went airborne. Jack Harvey had some injuries. He actually originally went to the medical center, and then apparently he got flown or took into a local hospital. But then a few hours later, he was cleared, and there's no wrong with him. He's totally good. So if anyone was wondering about medical updates on Jack Harvey, he's completely fine, uninjured. Well, I'm sure he has some minor injuries, but in terms of his health, he's good. So yeah, that's basically it for all the major crashes. So this is always a debate whenever there's a wheel. This has kind of happened a lot in IndyCar by, like, you know, the Nashville race and St. Petersburg this year. There's always huge complaints about, like, you know, street courses being crash fests. Like, is there any sustainable solution? Like, there's always questions whether, you know, street courses should be on the calendar, and people always like to complain about it, but, like, I don't think there's necessarily a direct solution we can do, because I think just removing street courses from the calendar would just be a slam against a lot of stuff, because that street courses are exciting. St. Petersburg is one of the most exciting races because it's one of them racetracks that there's no margin for error. Everything has a place, and if you make a mistake, it's huge. You know, we've seen that at the end of the race with Pato O'Ward. His car had a problem, but it was on a street course. He had no recourse to do anything. So, I mean, I'm not into, like, crash fests, but at the end of the day, I think street courses are exciting races. They create good storylines, what we can talk about for weeks. So, I think inevitably street courses need to stay on the calendar. They're epic generally. So next up, let's talk about Callum Eilert. I think Callum Eilert's performance today was amazing. He stayed out of trouble. He did everything he could, and he got a top 5 finish. That's amazing. He's in an underfunded team that's probably one of the lowest budget teams on the grid, and he managed to pick up a P5. That was insanity. For part of the race, I was thinking he could have got a podium. A podium was just insanity. I'm glad he has a really good race. Marcus Armstrong again. He came P11, which a lot of his P11 struggles did come to just the chaos, but being able to avoid that chaos and having that sixth sense of, you know, just avoiding everything that's something to say he's a good driver about. So yeah, that's going to be on the rookie side of things. And then finally, I just want to talk briefly about Romain Grosjean. Romain Grosjean, he had a perfect weekend. His qualifying performance, he had an incredible qualifying lap, unmatched. I think he got like 4 tenths above Herta, which Herta is quick. He's normally pretty good in qualifying, so the fact that he can out-qualify Herta is impressive to me. A lot of people like to say that Grosjean is an F1 reject. He is not an F1 reject. He's a capable driver. He's just as capable as anyone on the IndyCar grid. I don't know why even people would even say that he's an incapable driver. That's just insanity. Does he make mistakes? Yes. Does he crash sometimes? Yes. But that doesn't make him a bad driver. Colton Herta is an incredible driver, but he crashes. Doesn't make him a bad driver. A lot of bad drivers. You know, Max Verstappen, he used to crash a lot. Is he a bad driver? No, he's an amazing driver. Up until lap 72, Grosjean he didn't put a single foot wrong. He was just cranking out good lap times, good pit stops, good everything. It was perfect, and I just think I was really rooting for him to get his first win. He was so close. Yet so far. I think once Grosjean gets over this hurdle of having this, whether he knows it in the back of his head, his first win in IndyCar is going to be, once he gets his first win, that's going to be a huge weight off his back. You know, his whole team, whether they're doing it constantly, they are kind of looking over his back and waiting for this win and seeing, like, did we make the right investment into the right guy? And he needs to prove he is the right guy for the job, and he needs to do it. And I think he can do it this season. I know if you watched one of my previous videos, I actually did predict that he was not going to be able to get a win this season. It was going to be a disappointment. But I'm going to go back on that and say, from this first performance, he did incredibly well, and I think he's definitely going to be able to get his first win inside this season. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I want to know your thoughts on this video. Did you enjoy the race? Did you think there was too many crashes? What do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below, and like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.